So first of all, we've got here is a typical snare drum. This one's happens to be a 13 by 5 inch drum. That doesn't really matter, but I've already slacked the head off. So what I've done is I've taken all the tension rods and loosened them up, so that they're totally loose. I can now finger tighten these lugs. The old drum key. I'm going to tune this, and I want to tighten it relatively tight. So the first time I put this head on, we're going to pretend this is a brand new drum head. And we're going to tighten it. So we wanted the seat, so we're going to give it a good tighten so it stretches the head a little bit and kind of gets used to being on the drum. So we're going to go one full turn, and we're going to go across all these. That's an okay sound if you want that. So I'm just going to give it a good push, make sure it's seated properly. Okay, this is obviously, like I said, not a brand new head. It's quite new, but brand new, you hear a lot more crack. Okay, so now we've got the head nicely tensioned. It's probably a little tighter than we might like it maybe, but we're just doing that to give it a good stretch on the drum. So now what we want to do is we're going to slack it back off so that it's back down to very, very loose. So we can finger tighten and get an actual tune on this drum. So we're back to finger tight again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to give it probably one. So I can only listen to the top head because I really want to get a feel for where this head's at. What I want to do is I'm going to tap about an inch in from each tension rod at the tension rod point. Over time, you'll get used to hearing these pitches. Some people have trouble kind of differentiating the different notes. Every lug you want to sound pretty close. What you're listening for is the actual tone of that, and what you're going to try and figure out is if one's lower or higher than the other, you want to make these all adjusted to sound the same. It's not a perfect science. Tuning is like an art more than it is a science. You sort of get a feel for it the more you do it. But there are some certain things that will help you do that. So if I listen now, okay, to here, these two seem a little tighter than these two. Now the obvious choice would be, okay, well, tune this one tighter, tune this one looser. Because the drum head's under tension from all the lugs, just by doing that, it's not necessarily going to alleviate the problem. We're talking small adjustments. What I'll do is, if this one's a little low and this one's a little high, I'll probably try and equal it out by doing a little bit of both. I'll tune the low one up a little bit, and tune the high one down. Another thing I'll quickly mention here is this particular drum has triple flange tubes, which means it's a single piece of steel that's been bent into the shape. There's 3 flanges, so there's the main triple flange. Some drums will have die-cast tubes. Die-cast tubes are actually cast, as the name would imply, and they're much thicker and heavier than this particular tube. The advantage of that is that it's very strong. It won't be as sensitive to very minor tuning adjustments if one works out a little bit because the hoop is so strong. It'll hold the drum in pitch very well. So it takes a little bit of getting used to the hoops. This being triple flange tube tends to be a little more, it'll flex a little more with the drum head, so the adjustments you make will be a little more obvious when you're doing the tuning. Also with this sort of hoop, the drum tends to have a little more over-ring in the drum, a little more resonance. The die-cast will might dry out a little bit. So most of the drums that a beginner will have are going to have this type of hoop on it, and it's good to get used to tuning both times with this a certain number. So now we've got this drum head relatively in tune with itself. Now we're going to look at the bottom head and see